Jack Sparrow's introduction had to be flawless for two reasons. In the first 10 minutes of Pirates of the Caribbean, we had already been introduced to several other key heroes. Not to mention, we had become emotionally connected to Will and Elizabeth's budding relationship, a romance that promised to span the divide of class-based society, the kind of storyline the audiences have traditionally loved. But was there room for another hero? An odd character, grounded in the trickster archetype that was really no longer common in Hollywood. And coming off recent epics like Braveheart and Gladiator and the first two Lord of the Rings films, how would the filmmakers get audiences to fall in love with a protagonist who is decidedly not heroic, at least not in the traditional sense? They had one shot in precious few seconds, 111 in fact, to pull off the greatest character introduction in cinematic history. Hey filmmakers, it's Ryan. Welcome back to the Filmmaking Notebook, where I teach you filmmaking one scene, shot, and character at a time. If this video is going to make any sense, we need to understand this incredibly odd statistic. AI tells me that 80 million minutes of movies have been released to the world. And I assure you, looking up useless statistics like this is the extent of AI usage on this channel. Everything else is human created, as it should be. But a key component in learning filmmaking is studying the very best scenes, breaking them open, examining how they work from a deeply structural perspective. It's learning the why instead of merely the how. This is one vital element that sets apart the great filmmakers. I know too many aspiring filmmakers who can write, shoot, and edit a scene, but cannot tell me why their scene works, or worse, why it falls flat. But why should you care? Well, for this series, we're going to sift through the 80 million minutes of movie history to find the very best scenes from the greatest films, so that you can learn something precious few people do. What makes you fall deeply in love with the best scenes? Why do you watch them again and again and again? And to do this, we need to unlock the greatest scenes moment by moment to uncover how they function at a deeply psychological and story structural level. Let's dive in. Every frame of this iconic sequence is designed to teach you something about this new character. The crane up suggests a position of power, and we linger for a few seconds, wondering who might be worthy of the epic music underneath. Then when he's finally revealed, we see that his stance and posture are confident, his eyes focused intently, with hardly a hand on the crow's nest. We take the rest in an instant. The chaotic assortment of dangling beads, the absurd double goatees, and the classic coat, belt, sword, and hat of a pirate. After starting the film with the prim and proper characters, this is the movie fulfilling its innate promise. This is a pirate film, and this is the pirate we've been waiting to meet. All the characters we met before this point, the first 10 minutes of the movie, are in direct contrast to this pirate. All the other characters are part of a largely rigid system with little freedom to move beyond the relatively narrow bounds and expectations of their station and status in life. That said, the emotional reality of Will and Elizabeth's storyline is necessary to make Jack as real as possible, because we can relate to their budding romance. Everything to this point had been intentionally straight-laced. Chains of command, stations in life, and corsets. But now the filmmakers invite the audience to laugh as we realize that Jack's supposedly epic ship is actually a tiny sinking boat. This gag is more than that though. It gives the previous few seconds a massive extra layer of meaning. Because Jack wasn't confidently standing atop a mighty ship. He was nobly captaining the lowliest vessel possible, but was doing so with such a serious demeanor that we instantly glean that this character can't be bothered with what other people might think of him. He's either secure enough in who he is or just plain ridiculous, and either option is meant to generate laughs and show us that this fellow is outside the system we just established with the other characters. He's just borderline absurd. Clearly a pirate, but he has swagger. But this also says something else about his character. He's not afraid to bail water out of his own boat, even though the look on his face tells us that he's rather annoyed that he's sinking. And then comes the salute to the decaying hung pirates. Jack quits bailing water to give a salute, with a slightly serious expression that tells us that he respects his profession and understands the dangers. It's an acknowledgement that he isn't naive about this business. We now know that Jack is not a wannabe pirate. He understands and respects the risks associated with his profession, and he honors those who have come before him, as well as the warning left for others who would follow in their stead. Then a quick montage of dock workers with the camera pushing in, giving us a feeling that we're a boat sailing into dock. Then this guy turns and looks towards us with a corresponding reverse shot of presumably the bucket Jack had just been using. Then, a larger crowd of people staring, the classic type of shot designed to make the audience wonder, what are they looking at? And then the payoff, which has cemented itself as one of the most memorable moments in all of cinematic history. Jack is once again at the crow's nest with all the confidence and swagger of an admiral. His confidence doesn't miss a beat as he steps onto the dock with that slightly tipsy, slightly off, but still confident stride that has since become synonymous with Captain Jack Sparrow. And of course, this brilliant masterpiece of a scene, all 111 seconds, is compounded by how Jack Sparrow's character arc follows the patterns of story structure, how the writers resurrected the trickster archetype to bring a level of freshness to the action and adventure genre, and how elements like Jack's pistol and relationship to Barbossa add deeply thematic layers to the film, giving Pirates of the Caribbean nearly endless rewatchability. We'll explore all those vital story components in the videos in this playlist, which I'll link here as soon as they're live. But until next time, get offline and go create something epic.